but we getting at it.
Okay, let's start with Deshaun Watson. If, other than the Kansas City Chiefs, is there any team in the league that if the Texans called and said, we will trade you Deshaun straight up for your quarterback, you would say no to?
I mean, look, I think, man, I'm going to have a conversation with D-Watt later on today. We just spoke about it a few minutes ago. And we're going to talk about it, just, in totality. But look, man, if I'm his agent, man, I'm pushing to get with the best team. I'm looking to get with the San Francisco 49ers or the Chicago Bears. Need some defense, need some weapons. If those teams are short of a quarterback, and the deal can be made, with D-Watt. Now, I don't know if that's
stay on the Niners then.
Yeah.
Well, no. So let's worry about what Mike Vick's thinking. Let's stay with the Niners then, because the Niners are the team that I think Deshaun fits everywhere. But I think that if the Niners were able to make a trade for Deshaun Watson, they leapfrog not only all the teams in the NFC West, I think they leapfrog every team in the league, and they become the Super Bowl favorites for next year. And that's partially because of the defense and Kittle, but it's also because of Kyle Shanahan. As a guy who knows his dad, who knows Kyle, what would Deshaun Watson in that Shanahan offense be like?
First of all, the play-action game and what his dad was able to do with John, what he was able to do even in Washington, I thought was amazing. And then Kyle, same thing, what he was able to do with Matt Ryan in Atlanta. Just the run game in general. It just becomes a staple of the offense, and then everything just feeds off that. We've seen the Tennessee Titans this year benefit off run game. That was a correlation to the pass game and play action. And that's what you get, but you get it at a high level. And that's the one thing that I would say the Shanahan's father and son has been able to do probably better than any other coach in the National Football League. And it's a lot of great coaches that come and go. But, those guys have a recipe for success. Cal was doing it with, Jimmy G. He's got it done with him. They appeared in the Super Bowl, and he was even doing it with Nick Mullins, man. So you get a guy like Deshaun, it just enhances everything. And now you can just take it a step further. You got weapons. You can stretch the field. You can run the football, and then you can play defense. Half of their team was hurt, and they still was competitive this year. So I know for a fact if D-Watt go there, then he can compete with Patrick Mahomes and, Lamar Jackson and those guys who are going to be representing the AFC in the future.
Well, I think, though, for the rest of the league, the last thing they want, hi, Joey, for the rest of the league, the last thing they want is for Kyle Shanahan to get a significant upgrade on Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, Jimmy G. I understand he was in the Super Bowl, but I think what you've seen those offenses do and what you saw Matt Ryan be with Kyle Shanahan and then before and since, I think it'd be very scary if you got that type of quarterback. Let's stay with the quarterback conversation. Matt Stafford is not going to be with the Lions next year. There are reports this could happen sooner rather than later. Is there any place in particular you see that you think would be a good fit or make sense for Matt Stafford?
I think the Houston Texans. I think, once Deshaun decides on what's going to happen and he moves on, I think you can build around Matt. Matt got a couple years left, and, you just got to build around him. I know this situation will probably be totally different than what he dealt with in Detroit, but, he will be under the same circumstances. New coach, probably, a different locker room, and they got to start from the bottom. But, change is always good, and it's what Matt Stafford needs. It might not be with a team that has, all the, pieces in place, but, if that comes about, if New England happens to step up, they had a lot of guys who set out last year for COVID, and they'll be getting a lot of those guys back, so they'll instantly become a competitive team. If they don't retain Cam, who knows? We don't know what, the sense of what they're trying to do is, but I think those are the two best options for Matt. If it's not the Texans, then I think certainly New England.
New England, that would be a really fascinating pairing. And you and I both, you know Cam personally, I don't. But you and I are both big Cam Newton fans, but he just didn't look right all year. It looked like he was laboring essentially after week 3 or 4. So you do wonder if New England is going to try to upgrade there. We don't have a ton of time, so I'm going to combine 2 questions to a degree. Which of these is more likely, in your opinion? Patrick Mahomes catches Tom Brady in the eyes of the public as the quarterback GOAT, or Andy Reid, your former coach, catches Bill Belichick in the eyes of the public as the coach GOAT, as Colin's talked about this week?
I say Patrick got a chance. And Patrick got another, I would say, at least 12 years to play the game of football. And that's if he wants to. That's at his discretion. Hopefully Coach Reid will coach another, 6 or 7 years. But like I said earlier, who knows? And it'll be some greats falling in line, and I'll just say this. It could potentially be Eric Bieniemy. So him and Patrick could be together for a long time. If he just stay put, sit behind Andy for the next couple of years and see how that go, then what's wrong with that? Then you take over and you got Patrick and you still got Tyreek and now you still got Brent Beach and you can build. Those guys understand how Andy think. They're getting the best learning right now in terms of just learning on the job and learning how to find the talent. I know I'm getting off script a little bit, but I still think that opens the door for Patrick to win more Super Bowls down the road, and they can just keep up with the regimen. But look, if it don't work out for Eric Bieniemy somewhere around the league, I wouldn't complain. I'd sit behind Andy, continue to learn that format, how to keep great teams assembled, salary cap wise, and for other various reasons, and then take over when it's time. He'll earn that right and be very deserving of it when that time comes. What you think?
As a Chiefs fan, there is nothing I would love more than to see the press release Eric Bieniemy named coach in waiting, like you do with college football coaches. Like a guy, he's going to take over once. Let Andy get 3 or 4 rings right off into the sunset, and Eric Bieniemy keep the train rolling. Mike Vick, you're one of the greats. Thank you so much, my friend. I will talk to you soon. Appreciate you doing double duty with me today. There is the great Mike Vick, friend of the show, friend of the network, of course. Coming up next, are we watching the greatest receiving duo ever? The numbers are going to shock you. That's next. Nick right in for Colin on the Herd. His only teammates that are relevant that have been to the Super Bowl are Gronk, JPP, and Sue. So I think you could argue that the more experienced quarterback